Morning.
Mike, can you start by talking about the decision on Everson Griffen and who do you have in play that gave you the comfort to go ahead and make that move at this time?
Well, I mean, a decision on Everson was partly, the opportunity for some of our younger players. Everson did an excellent job here, and had a chance to see him last night. He stopped by, and so had a great experience with Everson. I'd always had tremendous amount of respect for him from afar. They're in Minnesota, but we just felt that we have some guys that have played. Not a whole lot, but it's more by creating more opportunities for those young guys.
Mike, there's a report that you guys will either cut or trade Poe and Worley today if a deal is not made. Has anything happened with those guys yet?
Everson is the only announcement that I have today to talk about.
Will those two guys be at practice today?
Everson's the only one I have really to talk about right now.
Do you feel this sends any sort of message to your team when you trade a player of a veteran like Everson, and with the trade deadline comes up, and clearly you're receptive to making other moves going forward here?
Messaging, which I think is very important. I don't, really rely on things, that actions or transactions to really send messages. I have the opportunity to talk to the football team every day, so they know clearly how I feel as far as the process of where the team needs to get to, and how we're going to do it. It's this business is about opportunity and making the best of your opportunity, and that's really what all the personnel decisions will come down to.
Does moving on from Everson, does that make the team better, or is it just about getting opportunities for the younger players?
Well, it's always about trying to create opportunities for players, and because it's interesting when people ask you, well, who's going to start, or who's going to play. I mean, frankly, that's up to the players. The players are a big part of those decisions, and their preparation and how they perform week to week. So we're always looking to make decisions to improve the overall football team.
Andy, did you do anything today? Andy, do anything today, or is he still in the protocol?
Andy's in the protocol still. Yes, he saw Andy this morning when he arrived in the building. So, but yes, he's still in the protocol.
When you're in the protocol, can you be in the meetings?
It depends on what level and where you are. So sometimes you can at a certain point, but he's not in the individual meetings. He was in the team meeting.
Mike, this question is not just about the current situation with Ben DiNucci, but your work with young quarterbacks throughout your career. When you have a young guy that goes from a point in the season where he's a developmental project, and now suddenly he's thrust into a starting role, how much of the preparation during the week from a coach is the mental aspect or building up the confidence? And if that's part of it, what are the tangible ways that you go about doing that?
Well, it's ultimately the confidence. I think it's important. Anytime you put a young, inexperienced player into position, you give the football team still a chance to win the game. So, and that's no different at the quarterback position. And we all recognize the importance and how much work goes into playing that position. So that's really what Monday was all about, and Tuesday as far as the game planning. So Ben's been up here relentlessly here in the last 48 hours, so he's pouring everything that he personally can into this opportunity that may be in front of him. So he'll get pretty much all the work this week, because I don't see Andy coming back at the end of the week at the earliest. So And that's the mindset I've always had. I've been through injury situations, but at the end of the day, you got to make sure you give the football team a chance to win. We can't just, play down to that. And so, I mean, it's the expectation also goes around the quarterback position. Obviously, just because you're playing with Dak Prescott and then you're playing with Andy Dalton, so just their experience alone, plays into how you plan. But we need more from others, and throughout our whole football team. I think that's stating the obvious. But Ben needs to do the right things, and the first thing is, he needs to command the offense, keep us in clean plays, and the highest priority is to make sure he takes care of the football.
Is it harder to put a game plan together for a young kid like DiNucci compared to Dalton or Dak?
Is it harder?
Yeah.
I mean, was I not supposed to laugh at that? I mean, it's kind of hard to tell with your mask on, so I didn't know if you were serious. It's a bit harder to prepare with a first year quarterback, than Andy. Yes.
I think you have to do two game plans. I mean, like you say, even if Andy goes, it's not till late in the week. Do you basically put together two plans, or you just put together one with the assumption that, it's easier to expand up if Dalton comes back?
I mean, I think clearly where we are. That's an excellent question. I think clearly where we are, we have other positions that have changed and will continue to change throughout the week. So the game plan that we exercise this week will be the focus Sunday night when we play those guys. So we'll have one game plan. So if Andy would go, obviously we'd be able to probably expand it more at the end of the week. But we're planning on playing to our practice reps, which is where we are as a football team.
Do you expect Zach to do anything today in practice?
Zach Martin?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Yes. Zach's slated to go today.
What about your center, Looney? Will Joe do anything this week?
Joe will be in a limited status, and we'll try to work him in, but he's close. He's very close.
You've coached against Jim Sports a number of times and their defenses and the pressure looks that they give, or that he likes to give. How much more challenging is that for a younger quarterback that's not seen a whole bunch to be prepared for really just about anything?
Well, I mean, number one, that's always been Jim's approach. I mean, he's always been. I would classify him as an aggressive, play caller as far as the way he attacks the offense. I think you don't have to really look too far past our last two games. We've seen more pressure the last 2 weeks, and we haven't handled it. So I think it clearly will be part of the game plan Sunday night, no question.
You say you haven't handled the pressure. Is that more about your communication or because of the young kids you got on that line?
I think to me, it's always reverts back to execution, and there are moments where the communication may not be totally what it needs to be. The reaction of blocking the right blitzer versus the other blitzer. We had two of those in the Washington game. So the execution versus pressure has not been good enough the last 2 weeks.
You've seen Zach play tackle, and you did it against, I think it was the Seattle game. Do you get him looked at practice this week, or because he's coming off the injury, do you just want to have him focus on his right guard spot?
I mean, we'll work different combinations. I mean, we obviously have to, just because of who our 8 offensive linemen may end up being by the end of the week. I mean, we're still not totally transitioned through our injury challenge there. We don't have the set 5 that we feel like we're going to play the rest of the year with. So we'll take the week to work through the combination there.
Is Uzi kind of on track based on how he practices these next couple of days to potentially return for you this Sunday?
Definitely. I think Cheeto is in a really good spot. I thought the last 2 weeks, just watching him work on the other field. So I look for him to practice today and hopefully be ready to go Sunday.
Is Sean Sean in a different boat because he doesn't even have the background that Tito has with a camp and at least a couple of games.
I would say not. I mean, we're going to play to Sean's experience. I mean, he's been in every meeting, every walkthrough, and the only thing Sean hasn't participated in is game day, and that's because he wasn't allowed with the COVID restrictions. So, but I look for Sean to practice today, and hopefully he gets through the week clean, and I see him being possibly ready for Sunday night.
How much have you missed his veteran presence on the field during the game right now?
Oh, I mean, I think it's clear that we miss Sean's presence on the field. I mean, his experience, obviously his leadership ability. I mean, his innate instinct and awareness is very high. I've always felt that way competing against him. So, I mean, he's an exceptional veteran player.
Going back to Griffin for a second, I know earlier in the season he talked a little bit about how when he wasn't performing up to his standards, he felt a little more comfortable with his hand on the ground versus standing up, and he might want to do that more. Did he adapt to what you wanted to do here? Was he resistant to that, or was he? I guess, how did he handle that as you went through?
Well, I thought he handled it fine. I think it's like anything in this game. Everything starts with a stance. There's a reason for the 2-point stance, and there's a reason for the 3-point stance. I mean, and I've discussed this in the past. When I've watched Julius Peppers go through it when he came to us from Chicago to Green Bay. The opportunity to play in a 2-point for a veteran player on first and second down, I think is a real benefit because it gives you more vision to play to your experience. Everything we do on defense is about our eyes. Everything I've ever done on offense was to challenge a defender if I felt he had bad eyes. So I think clearly, being in a 2-point stance, having the opportunity to see more when you get into tendencies and mannerisms and pre-snap tips, there's definitely a benefit of that because it gives you more visual point. But then on the other side of the fundamental training, his history and the reps that he has in the 3-point stance, his ability to play to his footwork and time clock, hand placement, and all those things. There's a lot of training. So that's why we never really ask those guys to do that more in passing situations. So we don't make particularly a veteran player play in a 2-point over the 3-point. They did have the option, and I thought Everson responded very well to that because, I mean, if you ever had a chance to talk football and watch Everson work, I mean, he has a very high level of understanding and instinct awareness on pre-snap of how to tackle or what he's expecting from the offense. So, and that's part of the reason why we talk about the 2-point more in the first, more in a normal down and distance situation. But when it's clearly you want to rush the passer, and you could play drop and do the changeup from the 3-point, but that's an incredible long answer. So, but I thought I did a good job to give you a short answer.
Seems like a reasonable guess that Bradley and I is one of those young guys that can benefit from this. I think he's only had 6 snaps this season, but what have you seen from him in practice since the season started?
No, definitely. I mean, and Dorrance Armstrong I would probably put in front of Bradley, but those two young men and really now that Randy also. So I mean, you really have 3 players there that are looking to take advantage of more opportunities because of Everson moving on. But I think Bradley has done some really good things on special teams, particularly not having a high level of experience there, but has shown a high level of pass rush ability too. So, but really, all 3 of those players will have more opportunities moving forward.
Very good.
This might be a dumb question, and I apologize. Maybe you'll laugh the way I left Calvin's question. Will you be inside or outside today?
I will be inside today. Yeah, Bucky, our weatherman and expert, and I can't even say that with a straight face, but we're going to go inside today, and our goals, we'll be outside tomorrow and Saturday is the plan. Okay?
Thanks.
Good, Rich.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.